Our day in Glacier Bay started out around 6:30 in the morning when I got up to go hear the rangers talk. When your Alaskan cruise goes to Glacier Bay, park rangers will come aboard your ship, and they set up a little mini museum in the crow's nest of our ship. Here was a map of Glacier Bay. Looking over at the far right side of the ship was Skagway, where we were the day before we were at Glacier Bay. So we really didn't come that far. We came around and then entered Glacier Bay. Alaska Geographic is a non-profit that came aboard the ship and sold some little trinkets that we might want. I bought a keychain. So at 7 a.m., the park rangers did their little hello and welcome to Glacier Bay. They gave us a little here's what to expect from the day and explained that they would be doing narration over the intercom for everyone outside to hear. So take a look at how still and glassy this water is. It's so gorgeous. Also, you can kind of see as we went further and further up Glacier Bay, the clouds became less and less. Thank goodness. We even got to see a little rainbow. When you're in Glacier Bay, they open up some of the decks. So we got to go on the bow of the ship where you usually can't go, but we got to go there on our day in Glacier Bay. Then we saw what I think was the prettiest glacier we saw our whole trip, and that was Margerie Glacier. This glacier was different from some of the other glaciers we saw because it has such a sharp drop-off. Not all glaciers are like that. Also, the ranger said that the ice in the water is not an iceberg. If it falls off of a glacier, it's called something else, but I can't remember what that was. Now let's listen to a little bit of what the ranger had to say.
The glaciers are now in full view, and you probably had no trouble figuring out which one is Margerie. It's the large blue one on your left. The Grand Pacific Glacier, on the other hand, is the large black mass directly in front of us. Directly behind the front face of the Grand Pacific Glacier is Canada. This is essentially the tale of two glaciers. So, because of its steep slope, it moves ice at around the rate of 7 feet per day, heaving it into the bay and creating the icebergs we see around us.
So here's my family just taking it all in. It was so beautiful. And this was the view from our balcony. At this point, we were not on the bow of the ship. This was just from our balcony, which made it so worth having a balcony. If you heard the ranger talking about the Grand Pacific Glacier, that is not in the picture right now. However, it is the main glacier credited with carving out all of Glacier Bay. I'm not sure if I'll ever have the opportunity to go back to Glacier Bay, but if I do, I would definitely want to get on a smaller boat and get closer to the glaciers. And that is because from the cruise ship, you forget how big everything really is out there. Just as a little reference, when we left Glacier Bay, this is the boat that the park rangers left on. So you can see it's just a normal boat and it looks so small out there. Everything is so much bigger than it looks. So anyways, Margerie Glacier is absolutely gorgeous. So now for the Grand Pacific Glacier. It's actually this black, what looks like black rock in the back of this picture. Margerie Glacier is the one over on the left. So yeah, the Grand Pacific Glacier isn't super pretty, but it carved out all of Glacier Bay, and that's crazy. Now the park ranger did say what this line in the water meant. It's like the glacier water meeting other water, but I can't remember exactly what they said. If somebody knows, please let me know. But I thought it was cool how like obvious the line is. Now for something else super cool, and that is Jaw Point. Jaw Point is where two tectonic plates came together, the Pacific and the North American tectonic plates. You can see how there are two very different types of rock pushed together. Jaw Point is at the entrance to the Johns Hopkins Inlet, which was formed by the Johns Hopkins Glacier. But you can't go up into the Johns Hopkins Inlet because it's protected for the seals. It would have been nice if our cruise ship could have gotten up in there so we could get a better view of the Johns Hopkins Glacier. And you might be saying, oh, your cruise ship couldn't even fit up there. Remember, because everything is so big in Glacier Bay, it's a lot larger than it actually looks. It's kind of like if you had a bunch of giants standing next to each other and you're like, oh my gosh, you're so short. And they're like, no, I'm 10 feet tall. Just the other people are 15 feet tall. Another reason why I would like to be on a small boat in Glacier Bay is because you're closer to the animals. I could see some otters in the water, but like I couldn't really see them. Like I couldn't see their little faces and their little paws. I could just tell that it was an otter. And I would have loved to be on a smaller boat, like right next to it to see them. And I already mentioned it, but the water here is like glass. It's so still and such a pretty color. I really took it for granted until we left Glacier Bay, started seeing some waves, and I was like, oh man, I miss that beautiful glacier water. We had a really great time enjoying the scenery and the nature in Glacier Bay. If you book an Alaskan cruise, make sure your ship goes into Glacier Bay.